morning, everyone. It's Michael from That Homeschool Life. How's everyone doing today? So, here I am in my homeschool classroom. And I'm sitting at my daughter's desk because my area is pretty messed up. Anyway, so, welcome. It is Thursday, June the 16th. So, the other day, my best friend and I took our daughters to go see the Homeschool Awakening. Did any of y'all go see that? Anybody? It was a really, really good movie. I guess in a way for me, Kirk Cameron, being that he was, whenever I was growing up, and probably most of you, like, he was some television haughty little actor guy, and you look at these Hollywood people, for instance, or, famous people, and they homeschool their kids, and it kind of makes you feel, wow, like, I'm famous too, or like, that makes, makes me awesome or something. It's just, you realize that they're everyday people too. Like you and I, they have families, they have kids, they have issues with the public school system, things like that. So, if you haven't watched the movie, if you didn't get a chance to go see it, and I don't know if it's going to come out on like Hulu or Netflix or anything like that, and it probably will, but if you didn't get to go see it, it is basically about the huge uprise in America of the homeschool movement, of people homeschooling their kids. I will say this, as a homeschooler who has been homeschooling before the pandemic hit, before all of COVID, even those who started with when COVID hit, and didn't send their kids back to public school when the public school systems opened, it was kind of, for me, it was a reassurance movie. It made me feel set in what my why was, what my reasoning was behind homeschooling. If you were a newbie and you were just thinking about homeschooling and you wanted to learn more, this was the absolute best movie for you to go watch, because it told you all of the possibilities that there are whenever it comes to homeschooling. And that was beautiful to me. That's what made me feel so happy-hearted, maybe. I don't know if that is even the right word to say, or the way to explain how it made me feel. It was just a beautiful, beautiful thing. It definitely made me feel reassured and grounded and pleased and happy with the decision that my husband and I made to homeschool the kids. So, there's that. Which brings me to the topic, why? Why did you choose to homeschool? And I kind of touched briefly on this before in one of my previous videos, but I wanted to kind of elaborate some. I was never the person who said I wanted to homeschool my kids. Never. But the school system has changed from whenever I graduated school. I have been out of school for 22 years. So, in 22 years, a lot has changed. When my oldest daughter, who is 11, or my oldest, who's 11, she started pre-K at a private church school, and it was great. So whenever it came time for kindergarten, I was like, I'm not sending her to a public school. I don't want to homeschool, so she's going to go to a private school. So she went to a private Christian school, and it was amazing. I loved the welcome feeling. I loved feeling like I was a part of something that was bigger than just a student ID number. I walked into the school, walked into the office. They knew who my daughter was and whose class she was in. Most of the time. Sometimes I had to tell them which class she was in, but they knew what her name was without even asking. Now the school was like pre-K through 12th, and it was a very small school, maybe 500 kids, but still, they knew. I felt welcome. I felt like I was actually a part of the decision making for my child. So we graduate kindergarten, and we're going to put her there for first grade. Well, the school's an hour from me, so she would catch a bus halfway. So I drive 30 minutes every morning for her to catch the bus. Well, they stopped running the bus. So I was like, I don't know if I can drive an hour one way 4 days a week. So that's 4 times a day I would be driving an hour one way. So it was a lot of driving. And I had just had I had our son whenever she was in kindergarten there. So he was about a year old. And he was the child that always got car sick. So, like, there was always delayed drive time. We had to pull over, clean him up, clean the car seat. You know how that go, moms, right? Like, you got the one kid that just gets car sick. So, yeah, I had that one. So, we put her in public school, which broke my heart. I cried and cried and cried about her having to go to public school for first grade. During that time, we had parent-teacher conference, and I learned that they were only doing their work on computers, and the only way they could work forward was if they did their worked ahead on their computer. The chalkboards were covered up with bulletin boards. They had the smart board, which I guess it's a digital type board. I don't know. We didn't have those whenever I was in school. We had whiteboards. And in the older part of the school, you had still chalkboards, but the new part, you had the whiteboards. Anyway, so they had the smart boards, and that's what they used. There wasn't a whole lot of ABCs and your math facts on the board, to work problems. There wasn't a whole lot of that. So we decided then that we're going to homeschool. And a lot went into that thought. We went back and forth if it was right. So we sat down that summer, and I drove myself nuts about curriculum. And finally chose something and went with it. Now, our why was not entirely based on Christian beliefs. Yes, a lot of it was, because what they teach in the public school now is bizarre and crazy, and it should not be taught by another adult that is not the child's parent. If you want to talk about LGBTQ stuff with your child, that's fine. You do that. It's the parent's place to do that. If you want to talk about politics with your child, that's fine. It's the parent's job. You want to talk about God. I 100% believe that God should not have been taken out of school, and the pledge should still be said. And if you wanted to pray before your lunch, that you should not be shunned for that. But I also don't believe that a teacher should push their beliefs, whether they're Buddhist or atheist or Jewish or Catholic or Baptist, or, whatever, you shouldn't push your beliefs on another child. That needs to be learned at home. And a lot of times it's not. And I have nothing against any parent that doesn't teach any type of Christianity to their child. You do you, I do me. I'm not going to judge you for it. And I'm not going to push what I believe on you, because it's not my place to. So, yes, I wanted to teach our children our beliefs of what we believe. But I also wanted them to be knowledgeable about other areas of Christianity and other things. So, there was that. But our biggest why was Daddy, my husband. When our daughter was going to, sticky tack was coming up. When our daughter was going to first grade, when my husband would leave for work, he worked 14 and 14, he worked off. On the day that he left for work, which was coincidentally a school day, my daughter would ask her daddy to take her to school so she could tell him bye one last time. And she'd cry, and he'd get all upset and teary-eyed. Not like upset mad, but like it pulled at his heartstrings, which it should. We started realizing that when he was home, she was gone all day, and the only time she got to see her daddy really was after school and on the weekends. And that wasn't enough time. That's not fair to him. That's not fair to her. So our biggest why is his his schedule. He works 14 and 14. And on the days that he would be home, the kids would be at school. So it was like they didn't even get to see their daddy. Like that father-daughter relationship, son-daughter relationship, or son-father relationship, sorry, wasn't getting developed. It was not like it should. Now, I grew up in a public school. My dad was home every night, but if he was off a certain day, we didn't get to see him. So that was really important to us. So we start our first year homeschooling, and we quickly learned that we love it. We were taking vacations and cruises in the middle of the year. It didn't matter. We go wherever, whenever, however. I didn't have to have an excuse for my kids to come to the doctor with me, because our doctors are 2 hours from where we live. So there wasn't enough time to drop them off at school, go to the drive 2 hours to the doctor, wait, a good hour, because you're never going to get there on time or in time, get into the room on the time that your appointment is. Sorry. Spend maybe 30 minutes in there, and then, if you're in town like me, I'd always have to run to Sam's, or something else had to be done, because I wasn't going to make an extra trip into town to go get these things, and then have to be home in time to meet the bus. That's a lot of going. There's a lot going on right there. So, now I can just take the kids with me. I don't need an excuse. The freedom of homeschooling has changed our world. Our ability to see the world, our ability to explore life around us, to physically get your hands into something, has been amazing. It is a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's funny, I tell people that, like people who are, well, I can't believe you homeschool. What about this? And what about socialization? And are they getting their right, are they getting what they need? And da-da-da-da. All the common questions. I get so much joy talking about homeschooling to other parents, because it has truly been a blessing to our family. It is truly an amazing, amazing job to have. And yes, a lot of people are like, oh, you homeschool, don't you get tired of your kids? What parent doesn't? I mean, come on, we all need a break from our kids. But at the same time, I get to watch them grow. I get to see things that only a teacher in the schoolhouse would see. And then I get to show them things that teacher at a schoolhouse, a regular brick and mortar schoolhouse, would not be able to teach them. It is really a beautiful, beautiful thing. And that I tell that to everybody. Homeschooling is such a beautiful thing. And it's stressful at times. And yes, there are times that I just want mom and dad time. Like to go fishing without the kids, worrying about the kids being home. Because mine are still young. 11 and 6 is, they're not super old. But at the same time, I tried giving it up, and I cried, made myself sick, and then just decided, no, they're coming back home. Home is where they belong. So that's our why. What's your why? Like, why do you homeschool? Is it purely because of religious beliefs? That's fine. Is it for some other reason? Does your spouse work off, or do you both work from home and you want to travel the country and you want your kids to be able to see, so you RV school? Like, wouldn't that be like the most amazing thing? Like, I'd love to do that. My husband works off. He's in the oil field, so his job changes, from his job location changes every so often. And I would love nothing more than to load up a camper and go stay with him. But then I have my house to worry about, and my dogs, and my chickens. So somebody got to stay home and take care of everything. But we were able to fly up to Utah and drive him home. And we went through Utah and Colorado. Different, let's see, Utah, Colorado, New Mexico, and all of Texas, because we live in Louisiana. So it was just an amazing trip. And had they been in school, we wouldn't have been able to pull them out just for no reason. So, what is your why? Why did you homeschool? Have you ever thought about it? Do you let your kids know your why? Mine do. They know. I tell them all the time, this is why we did this. This is why we do this. Especially whenever they get to do stuff that other kids don't get to do. This is why. Anyway, hit like and subscribe and thumbs up and all that good stuff. Talk to you guys later. Bye.